"The leeching is over," my wife said after she got her promotion. She told me that from now on we would have separate bank accounts. I said yes. I stayed calm because I already had a feeling she would regret it. That night the kitchen smelled like rosemary and something worse, like regret that had been cooking for years. I was standing at the stove, stirring risotto slowly. I kept the spoon moving in circles and watched the rice soak up the broth one grain at a time. It felt like the way I'd soaked up small insults for 6 years, one at a time, telling myself it was not a big deal. Sarah walked in with a look I knew too well. It was the face someone makes when they have practiced a harsh speech and convinced themselves it sounds strong. Her heels hit the floor in sharp taps that felt like a countdown. I did not turn right away. I kept stirring. She said we need to talk, for words that always mean trouble. I turned off the burner and faced her. She was still in her work clothes, wearing the expensive blazer she bought to celebrate becoming regional director. It cost more than our grocery budget for a month. Her hair was pulled back in a tight ponytail that made her look ready for a fight. I said okay, just one word. I learned that silence makes people show what they really think. If I talk too much, I give them places to hide. She set her designer bag on the counter. Her mother bought that bag. I suggested a practical one once, but that was never the point. The bag was a symbol. She said she got the promotion, even though I already knew. 3 hours earlier, she texted me a long line of celebration emojis. They did not feel like an invitation. They felt like a victory dance on my chest. I said congratulations, and I meant it. I never hated her success. I hated what her success was doing to her. I hated how it made her look down at the same person who had been holding the house together. She said the promotion came with a big raise. Then her voice changed. She used that corporate tone she had been practicing, the one that sounds polite but also cold. She said this means our financial situation is going to change. I leaned back against the counter and crossed my arms. I waited. She said she has been thinking. And in that moment, I could hear her mother in her mouth. I could almost see Patricia feeding her lines, like a puppet master. Sarah said the joint account is not working anymore. I asked what arrangement she meant, even though I knew. She said the leeching. She used that word like it was a fact, like it was not a cruel label. The word hung in the air. Leeching. Like I was some creature taking her blood. I wanted to laugh, but nothing about it was funny. I'd been doing 3 freelance jobs while managing a household. I cooked most nights. I kept the calendar. I paid bills. I tracked repairs. I bought gifts for her parents and wrapped them and reminded Sarah to sign the card. I handled the boring parts of life so she could chase her ladder. But in Sarah's mind, and in Patricia's mind, my work was not real. It was not an office. It did not come with titles and business cards. So they acted like it did not matter. I said I see. Because what else do you say when someone you love calls you a leech? Sarah said we should have separate accounts from now on. The way she said it sounded rehearsed, like she had practiced in her office, like her mother had nodded on speakerphone. In that moment, I felt something cold settle inside me. Not anger yet, something clearer than anger. Like I was suddenly floating above our relationship and seeing the design of it. I saw 2 people who used to know each other, and now one of them was treating the other like a burden. I said all right. Sarah blinked. She expected a fight. She expected me to beg or argue. She did not expect me to agree. She asked really. I said really. I repeated her plan back to her in simple terms. Separate accounts. She keeps her income. I keep mine. We split household costs 50-50. She said yes quickly. Relief spread across her face. She looked like she escaped something. I said then we will do it. We will open separate accounts this week and transfer everything. She thanked me, and I heard the pride in her voice. She thought she won. But agreeing is not the same as accepting. I understood what she was doing, and I understood what it would show. I understood how much Patricia's opinions had poisoned Sarah. I understood that Sarah thought my freelance money was smaller and less important than her corporate salary, even though my money had quietly held us up in ways she never measured. I also understood something else. Sarah was about to learn a lesson, and I was not going to teach it with shouting. I was going to teach it with reality. I reminded her mother was coming for lunch on Sunday, like always. Sarah asked if she should make Patricia's favorite, the osso buco. I said yes. She will love it. Sarah kissed my cheek, distracted, already checking her phone, already half at work again. That night, we ate in silence. Sarah scrolled and replied to emails like her inbox mattered more than the person sitting beside her. I watched her and felt something shift. I was memorizing the moment because I knew we were standing on the edge of a change. After dinner, I washed dishes while Sarah went into her office. I heard her on the phone with her mother. Their voices rose and fell in that secret, allied tone they used. I heard Sarah say he agreed, proud and excited. Patricia's reply was muffled, but I could imagine it. A comment about how I was probably happy to stop pretending. A comment about how Sarah was taking control. Power is not what you announce. Power is what you can keep. That night, I sat at my small work table near the window. Sarah called it my workspace like it was a favor, like it was not my home too. I opened my laptop and started documenting everything. Every deposit, every bill, every transfer, every grocery run, every rent payment, every gift, every car repair. 6 years. For 6 years, I had been the invisible support beams under our life. I remember birthdays. I scheduled repairs. I handled the boring tasks. I cooked and cleaned. My freelance income was irregular, but it was real and strong. It paid for vacations Sarah posted online. It paid for furniture she showed off. It paid for emergencies that I was not furious. I was done. Anger is hot and messy. Being done is cold and careful. I built a spreadsheet. I colored it. I made it clean and clear. I saved it to a flash drive and hid it in the back of my desk drawer. I hoped I would never need it. But hope is just an aisle with prettier clothes. Sunday came with bright sunshine that felt rude. I woke early and started cooking like always. The beef shanks needed hours. The apartment filled with rich smells. The table was set with the nice dishes Sarah insisted on for her parents, the ones meant for our little performance of being a perfect couple. Patricia arrived at 1 on the dot because she treated lateness like sin. She swept in wearing expensive perfume and certainty. Roger followed her like a tired man who had learned to stay quiet. Patricia greeted Sarah first. She barely looked at me, like I was furniture. She told Sarah she looked radiant and that regional director suited her. Sarah soaked it up like someone starving for approval. I said hello to Patricia and Roger. Roger mumbled hello and gave me a look that said he knew what kind of day this was. Patricia finally noticed the smell and said something smells wonderful, as if she was surprised I could cook. I told her it was her favorite. She said how thoughtful, in a tone that means she was judging me anyway. We ate. Patricia led the conversation like always. She asked Sarah about salary and benefits and office status. She polished Sarah's achievements like trophies. She did not ask me a single question about my work. I ate quietly and watched the show. Roger lifted his wine glass at me once, a small sign of man-to-man understanding. Then Patricia said it. She said she was proud of Sarah and proud that Sarah was not carrying dead weight anymore. She said now Sarah could focus without someone leeching off her. The word again. Leeching. Sarah looked uncomfortable for 1 second. She glanced at me and looked away. She did not defend me. She did not correct her mother. She smiled and changed the subject. In that moment, I understood something with perfect clarity. Our marriage was already dying. We just had not called it dead yet. I stood up and said I needed to check dessert. My voice was calm. That calm was not weakness. It was control. I went into the kitchen and pulled out the tiramisu I made the night before. Even when I was breaking inside, I still could not bring myself to do a cheap dessert. I thought about the flash drive in my desk drawer. I thought about the separate accounts we would open. I thought about the moment coming soon when Patricia would come into this kitchen again and scream. She would scream because she would finally see what I had been. Not a leech. A foundation. And when you remove a foundation, everything shakes. Monday morning felt like war without announcements. I woke up early. Sarah still slept, mascara smudged under her eyes. I used to find her messy face sweet. Now it just looked like someone exhausted from living inside an image. I made coffee in the French press because I refuse bad coffee. Small dignity matters. Sarah came out wearing another power suit. She poured coffee into the travel mug I bought her. She did not thank me that I said we should go to the bank after work and open separate accounts. She paused, surprised I brought up first. People who are used to being harsh often do not know what to do with calm. She said she could meet me at 5. At the bank, the employee asked how we wanted to split the money from the joint account. Sarah looked at me like she expected me to accept less. I said 50-50. Sarah flinched. She wanted to argue, but did not want to do it in front of a stranger. I told her separating finances means we split the balance equally unless she contributed more. The truth was she did not know. She had stopped paying attention long ago. She had built a story in her head where her salary was the center of everything. She finally agreed, jaw tight. We signed forms. The joint account would close. The balance would be split evenly into our new accounts. The employee asked about household expenses. Sarah said we would split everything 50-50. I almost laughed because Sarah thought that meant rent and utilities. She did not understand what else included. Toilet paper, trash bags, dish soap, cooking oil, batteries, all the small things that keep a home running. I had been buying them without anyone noticing. I suggested a shared spreadsheet to track expenses and settle up each month. Total equality. Transparency. Sarah agreed slowly, as if she had not expected real math. We left the bank separately. Sarah said she had to go back to the office. I suspected she just needed space to process. That night, I cooked pasta for myself and ate at the counter with a book. Sarah came home late and looked surprised that I ate already. I said I was hungry. There was more pasta in the pot, but I did not serve it for her. I did not plate it. I did not keep it warm. I was not trying to be cruel. I was showing the new rules. Separate accounts. Separate responsibility. Separate consideration. Sarah served herself and moved around the kitchen like someone visiting a place she did not know. She could not find the Parmesan. She microwaved the pasta, even though it was warm. She did not know where things were because she had not cared before. Later she asked if I was mad. I told her no. Mad is hot. Mad is still invested. I was not mad. She said I seemed distant. I said she wanted financial independence, and that comes with emotional independence too. I told her we were roommates who split expenses now. That is what she asked for. She went quiet. Then she said she just wanted to feel like she was not carrying everything financially. I said okay. Now she did not have to. The next morning, I woke early and went for a run for the first time in years. I had been too busy supporting her life to care for my own body. My legs hurt, but the city air felt like a new start. When I came back, Sarah was making instant coffee because she did not know how to use the French press. She stared at me like I was a stranger when I said I run now. And that is how it started. Not with screaming. With quiet shifts. I stopped cooking big dinners. I made meals for one. If Sarah wanted food, she could handle it. I stopped doing her laundry. I washed my clothes. Her clothes stayed in the hamper. I stopped managing social plans. I stopped buying gifts for her family. I tracked everything in the spreadsheet. Every grocery trip, every cleaner, every light bulb. Sarah looked at the sheet once, and her face went pale. She asked if it was everything. I said yes. 3 weeks later, I got a call from Patricia. She demanded Sunday lunch, and told me Roger wanted seafood, and asked for the fancy stew I made once. I said no. Patricia did not know what to do with that word. She asked what I meant. I said no again. If she wanted that meal, she could cook it or order it. And since finances are separate now, if she wanted me to cook, she could pay for ingredients and pay for my time. I told her my rate. Patricia sputtered. She called it ridiculous. I told her family should not call each other leeches over meals the so-called leech cooked. Then I ended the call. My hand shook after, not from fear but from the rush of finally saying no. That night Sarah came home angry. Her mother complained I refused to cook. Sarah demanded what was wrong with me. I told her it was never one meal. It was 6 years of meals, 6 years of hosting, 6 years of being insulted in my own home. And now that finances are separate, her parents are her responsibility. Sarah called me petty. I said I was being equal. She slammed the bedroom door. Sunday came again. Sarah panicked because her parents were coming at 1, and she had no meal planned. She asked if I was cooking. I said no. She asked if it was because of her mother's comment. I said it was because of separate finances and separate responsibility. Sarah admitted she did not know how to cook the osso buco. I told her to order something else then. She said ordering was expensive. I did not say anything about how I used to cook restaurant meals for a fraction of the cost. I just told her she had 4 hours. I went into my office. I heard her scrambling, slamming cabinets, cursing, then calling her mother to warn her. Food arrived. Sarah set the table with regular dishes, not the fancy ones. The takeout containers sat there like evidence of her unpreparedness. Patricia would hate it. Sarah asked if I was going to eat with them. I said I did not think I was invited. It is her family lunch. Her expense. I had work. When Patricia arrived, she immediately noticed the smell was different. Sarah said she ordered from the restaurant. Patricia sharpened. She asked where I was. Sarah said I was working. Patricia complained. Roger tried to make conversation. Patricia demanded the usual meal. Sarah tried to explain separate finances. Patricia acted offended and said I should contribute because I live there. Sarah said I pay half. Patricia decided she needed to speak with me and marched to my office. My door opened without a knock. Patricia stood there, dressed like she owned the air. Her face was twisted with anger. She said we need to talk. I removed my headphones and said hello. She demanded to know what game I was playing. She said separate finances was nonsense. She said I was hiding while family visited and neglecting my responsibilities. I corrected her. They are her family, not mine. I said she made that clear over the years. Patricia stepped forward and said I needed to stop sulking and punishing Sarah for a comment. I asked for what? For calling me a leech. For spending years letting Patricia imply I was not enough. Patricia tried to deny it. I reminded her she sat at my table while eating food I cooked. I told her she was right that leeching was over, but not the way she meant. I said she was about to learn exactly what I contributed. Patricia called me delusional. I told her maybe I am, or maybe I'm the only one seeing clearly. Then I put my headphones back on and went back to work. Patricia stood there shaking with rage, then stormed out. I heard arguing in the dining room and then the door. They left early. Sarah came to my doorway pale and tearful. She said they were gone and her mother was furious. I said I imagined so. That week our apartment felt like it forgot how to breathe. Sarah moved carefully like a guest in her own home. We spoke in short practical sentences. One day, Sarah forgot her credit card at the restaurant and the restaurant called me. They assumed I was the one in charge. That irony almost made me smile. Sarah asked me to pick it up because she was busy. I said no. She needed to handle her own mistakes now. Another day, she texted asking me to pick up toilet paper. I said I have plenty. She needs her own. She needed rush dry cleaning for her blazer and asked where I go. I told her where I go for my clothes. She would need to find her own place. Rent increased and Sarah panicked. She did the math and realized her half was higher than she expected. She admitted she thought she had been paying more than she was. I told her she should look at old records. That night she spread papers out and calculated. Near midnight, she came to my office and told me she discovered I'd been paying almost 2/3 of rent for years. I said yes. She asked why I did not tell her. I told her I tried. She said we would adjust later. Later never came. I stopped bringing it up because I did not want to keep score. She accused me of keeping score now. I told her I was keeping records, not score. Records are reality. Score is a contest. Sarah cried and said she did not know how to manage everything. She said work was demanding and she came home and did not know what to cook. She said she was tired. I told her that is what I've been doing every day for 6 years while being called a leech. She apologized. She said she should have defended me. I agreed. She should have. She asked if we can go back. I said I do not know. I do not know if I want to go back to being invisible. She promised she would do better. I told her maybe, but she needs to learn what life costs when someone is not doing it for you quietly. She called it punishment. I called it boundaries. Then she told me her mother was coming again and wanted to see me. I told Sarah good. Tell her to come at 1. And I will not be cooking. Before that Sunday, I prepared in my own way. Not with yelling. With evidence. I gathered bank statements, receipts, tax records. I built clean pages showing what I paid and what I did. I printed it and put it in binders with tabs. I made copies. One for me, one for Sarah, one for Patricia. When Sarah saw the binders, her face went white. She flipped pages and finally saw what she never bothered to measure. Rent, groceries, utilities, gifts, household supplies, thousands and thousands of dollars. Hours and hours of labor. She said it would humiliate her mother. I told her mother humiliated herself with her words. I was only showing context. Sarah asked what I wanted from this. I said I want truth spoken out loud. I want them to understand. And I want to stop living in a world where my help is treated like nothing. Sarah invited Roger to come early, before Patricia. She said he needed to see the binders first so he could help manage the storm. Roger came looking nervous. He opened the binder and read. His face darkened. He said he could not believe it. He said Patricia thought my freelance income was pocket money. Roger finally looked angry for real. He asked Sarah what she was thinking. Sarah admitted she listened to her mother instead of reality. Roger said Patricia is going to lose her mind when she sees this. I said I know. At 1 on the dot, Patricia arrived dressed in perfect Sunday clothes. She looked ready to lecture me about marriage and responsibility. Roger surprised her. He told her to sit down and stop talking. He handed her the binder and told her to look at it without commentary until she saw all of it. Patricia flipped pages. Her mouth tightened. Her hand shook. After minutes, she looked up and said the numbers cannot be right. I told her they are bank statements and tax records. She tried to claim Sarah always made more than me. I corrected her. Sarah had a corporate job that looked important. My freelance work looked invisible to people like her. But our income was similar, and I paid more of the household costs. Patricia tried to accuse me of faking records. Sarah finally spoke with a voice that cut the room. She told her mother to stop. She said she verified the documents. Every number was real. Patricia looked at Sarah like she was betrayed. She asked if Sarah knew. Sarah said she did not know, and that was the problem. She never looked. She never asked. She was too busy listening to her mother. Roger spoke too. He told Patricia she was wrong, and she needed to apologize. Patricia argued she was protecting Sarah. I said protection is not cruelty. I explained my work and my money. I explained the gifts Patricia thought Sarah picked. I explained the meals I cooked. I said I paid and I worked and I hosted and I listened, and still I was called a leech. Patricia finally sat down like she felt weak. She asked Sarah if the gifts were really mine. Sarah admitted yes. She signed cards. I did the work. Patricia broke in a way I had never seen. She looked smaller. She said she did not know. I said she did not know because she did not ask. Roger told her to start with the truth. Patricia said she was wrong about my contributions. Then she said she was sorry for calling me a leech. She said she made assumptions. She cried. Roger asked her to explain why she did it. Patricia admitted she carried resentment from her own marriage, from feeling like the one who carried money while Roger built his business. She admitted her mother told her she married down. She admitted she projected her past onto Sarah and me. She said she was trying to protect Sarah from her own pain. I told her pain does not excuse her behavior. Her apology does not erase years of disrespect. Patricia said she knows. Sarah admitted she also participated. She admitted she let her mother poison her mind. I told Sarah her blame is different. Patricia judged from outside. Sarah lived with me and still chose not to see. I said, Sarah, let me become invisible. She stopped thanking me. She let her mother insult me at my own table. Sarah cried and apologized again. I told her sorry as words. I need change. I need respect. I need her to defend me. I need real partnership. Sarah asked how. I said she needs to see me as a person, not a helper, not a background system. Patricia asked how to fix it. I said she cannot undo the past, but she can stop. She can treat me with respect and stop comparing me to her ideal husband. She can support Sarah without controlling her. Patricia admitted she cannot change overnight, but she wants to try. I suggested therapy. Patricia looked terrified. That fear was new for her, but she nodded. Before Patricia left, she asked about the gifts again. She said they were always perfect. I told her I listened. I remembered. That is what you do when you care. Patricia cried harder. She apologized again in a deeper way, like she finally understood she had been cruel to someone who had been kind to her. After they left, Sarah asked what now. I said now she shows me with actions. She shows me she could be a real partner. Not for a week, not for a moment, but for real. That week Sarah started learning. Not because I begged her, because she finally felt the weight of what she ignored. She practiced coffee. She asked how to cook. She tried to make dinner. She burned garlic and overcooked pasta, but she tried. Patricia called me one day and told me she made a therapy appointment. I was surprised. She admitted she was scared. She asked if her relationship with Sarah could be repaired. I told her it depends on whether she can truly change, not just apologize. Later, Sarah cooked roast chicken with my supervision. It was not perfect, but it was hers. She looked proud and exhausted. She said she did not know how I did this so often. I told her practice and routine, and that it is real work even if nobody gives you a trophy for it. Over time, Sarah began setting boundaries with Patricia too. The next time Patricia visited, Sarah told her clearly that I am her partner, and I must be treated with respect. She told her mother that if she insults me, she will not be welcome. Patricia looked shocked, then quiet. Roger looked relieved. Patricia apologized again, and this time she listened instead of defending herself. Months passed. The change was slow, awkward, and sometimes painful. But it was real. Sarah learned to cook enough meals that the kitchen stopped being mine alone. She started handling shopping and cleaning without acting like it was someone else's job. We still kept the expense tracking, but now it felt fair instead of hostile. Patricia went to therapy. She softened in small ways. She still had moments, but she caught herself more often. She started asking questions instead of making speeches. Roger, who had spent years staying quiet, started speaking up when Patricia crossed lines. That alone changed the air. 6 months later, on a Sunday morning, I woke up and found Sarah cooking calmly, not like a person performing, but like a person living. Coffee was made correctly. She hummed while making a frittata. She asked if we could eat on the balcony. That simple, normal moment would have been impossible before. Sarah told me she was offered a bigger promotion and asked my opinion before accepting. She wanted to plan together, so we would not fall back into old patterns where I carried everything. I told her I never hated her ambition. I hated being invisible while supporting it. She took my hand and said together. And I believed her. Patricia arrived later with takeout, so nobody had to cook. That was her choice, her way of showing she was learning. She did not demand. She offered. At lunch, Patricia asked about my new client and my work. She said I must be very good to get those contracts. It was a simple sentence, but it meant a lot because it was respect. Roger raised his glass to growth and second chances. After they left, Sarah and I cleaned up together like a team. She talked about taking a vacation and remembering why we fell in love. Then she brought up the separate accounts. She said she wanted joint accounts again, not because she had to, but because she wanted our finances to match our partnership. I asked if she was sure. She said she was sure. She said these months taught her what partnership really is. It is not about who makes more. It is about both people showing up, respecting time and effort. I hugged her and said, okay. Joint accounts. Equal partners. She said she loves me and she never stopped loving me. She just forgot how to show it. I told her I know. And I told her I love her too. The spreadsheets and receipts still existed, filed away in a drawer. They were proof from a time when truth had to be defended. But now the truth was visible in everyday life, in shared meals, in clear boundaries, in respect that showed up consistently. The leeching was over. Not because I stopped giving, but because we stopped pretending my giving was nothing. And more importantly, the seeing began. Real seeing. The kind that makes a life possible again.